can. So yeah, we're Team 4039. Today we're basically hoping to give you some of the basics of what we've learned about impact over the years, and then hopefully that'll provide you good talking points to ask us questions as well. So please feel free to ask any questions at any time. We want this to be more of an open dialogue rather than just a presentation speaking directly to you. So if you have any questions at all, or you want to bring up a topic that we did not cover, please tell us. We're here to help, and that's the primary goal of this presentation. So yeah, let's get started. So we're first going to introduce the students, so I'll let Crystal and Kieren introduce themselves and who they are.
Hi everyone, I'm Kieren. I am a two-time impact presenter. I'm
Crystal, I'm in grade 12 right now. I've been presenting on impact since I was in grade 9. And last year I helped edit the video. I helped make a gallery clip and edit it.
Great. Yeah, and then also this year, so you see Crystal and Kieren. Please ask them about their hats during this presentation. We also have Jessica, who just recently graduated. She presented for impact for 4 years and really led the charge with our impact presentations. I also just wanted to take a second to acknowledge our mentors. We're really lucky to have a great mentor base, and I think we will go through really quick and allow them each to introduce themselves. So Amy, if you could wave and introduce yourself.
I'm Amy. My daughter's actually on the team. I actually work as a doctor, but I help with some of the editing submissions as well as when I go on a medical mission every year. So this past year, some of the devices that the group had created, that was actually for light and underserviced areas, because in the Philippines where you don't usually have electricity, so for the kids to be able to do their homework after sunset. So that's what a big contribution to me is. Michelle?
I'm Michelle Kiley, and I'm a teacher for actually elementary, so I'm a mentor coming in from my son is Kieren. And I sort of helped overall just getting things organized and the hats.
Yeah. Not here today is Tracy and Monica, but they help a lot with our impact team, so it's awesome to have so much support in so many different areas. And then I should say, hi, I'm Angela. I just recently graduated from Mechanical Engineering and Society at McMaster. I know I'm for Kepler Communications, so in satellites. And I've been part of Big Shift since September 2015 as a student, and I've helped with impact since then, and I've been mentoring since 2015. So it's been a fun time. Okay, so what are we here for? The FIRST Impact Award. So the basic definition from FIRST is that the FIRST Impact Award honors the team that best represents a model for other teams to emulate and best embodies the mission of FIRST. So why is this important? Anytime that you're portraying your team to the judges, that you're writing any documentation, even when you're talking to other teams, you should focus on what examples show that your team is a team player. So how do you ensure to bring competitors up rather than putting them down? How do you ensure other teams' success? How are you a role model? So the big thing we talk about is, can you see other teams emulating your example? Are they seeing good initiatives that you're doing at competition or in the community and doing the same thing because they feel that they can and because you're supporting them? So being a role model is something that needs to be exemplified in every bit of communication for your impact award. A supporter, so this could be at events, supporting rookie teams, supporting other teams in the community, initiatives, so having good examples of that. And then ultimately a change maker and advocate. What do you do that's unique? Are you doing initiatives that you've seen other teams do before, which is completely okay, or are you coming up with innovative methods to do outreach in your community that match the need of the community? So that's the FIRST Impact Award. And we know that the mission of FIRST is to provide life-changing robotics programs that give young people the skills, confidence, and resilience to build a better world. Again, why is this important? So when you're submitting for the Impact Award across all platforms, so you're writing your presentation and when you're talking to teams and judges, they also want to hear how you're changing the lives of the students on your team. So what opportunities are you providing them, both in terms of outreach and the technology workshops and other things that you do that positively impact them and the world? That's an important thing to bring forward because it's not just other teams that you're impacting, but it's also how are you growing your own and being sustainable, and how are your programs impacting kids either in the community, on other teams, etc. So focusing on how you're developing people and how you're building that foundation, again, really important. So going back to the definitions is just something we do because it reminds us what the impact award is, why it's important, and what the judges are looking for, especially since judges, some of them come from outside FIRST. Not all of them have been involved for the many years that you and I have. So one of the first things they're going to look at, they're going to look at the basic values first. So it's always important that we go back and reference them. So then one more, the vision of FIRST is to transform our culture by creating a world where science and technology are celebrated and where young people dream of becoming science and technology leaders. So the way we tend to look at this is how do we inspire everyone that's around us, and how do we inspire those even just within our impact presentation? How do we show them the passion that we feel that drives the change that we make? So whether that be making some fun hats or having really bright colorful clothing, or going to initiatives that students are specifically passionate about, if that's what you drive your outreach program to be, the judges will see that, they'll acknowledge your passion, and they will believe that you're following the vision at FIRST. And then why apply for the Impact Award? So Karthik, who we very much love and we always look to for all of our impact inspirations, is that the goal isn't to win the award, the goal is to change culture. If you make real strides towards culture change and document it well, the award will come in time. So the Impact Award isn't an award that you go for. It is the most prestigious award at FIRST, but it's because your team just really has a story to tell. One of the things that Monica, our lead impact mentor, always says, we apply to impact because it's the right thing to do. Your team does so much every day. They reach out to people in the community, they build great robots, they want to inspire youth. What a better way to acknowledge them than to apply for the Impact Award. So that's what we believe it's really about. It's to drive us to continue doing better, but it's also to inspire our team to continue doing better. And we do it because we love it, and it also develops students in their public speaking. So it's important to go back to that main purpose because it doesn't matter if you win. It's really about the impact you're making and the changes you're making for the students.
It can also be used to inspire other teams to do the same thing that you have done. So some teams might not know what you've done in your community or what you've done throughout your school or throughout the world. But competing for impact, you can show other teams, you can show others, you can tell them how to do it, tell them what you are all about, and show them how to be better and to do better.
Sure, and I think with that, we're going to move on to why, we already talked a little bit about this. So to cover other items about why to apply for the Impact Awards, we talked about why it's the right thing to do. It is time well spent. I'm sure all of you know that as your teams get older, keeping track of everything you've done is so difficult because you just do so much over the years. So applying for Impact, you create that documentation, and that's something you could just naturally keep within your team so that, let's say, you know, there's students that join the team in 2025, they could look back to our first Impact win in 2016, that video, that documentation, and they could see what we did back then versus what we did now. How far have we come, but also what did we do back then? So that's just as important. It helps your team grow. So there have been people at our school that have heard about Makeshift because they've seen the video on YouTube. Maybe they've heard about us and what we've done in our community. They see us at, I don't know, the Santa Claus parade, and they're like, oh, that team's so cool, I want to join them. So by doing outreach initiatives and participating in Impact, it helps you to grow and really build a solid foundation for your team, especially if you're a newer team. We talked about that it supports student development. I think getting to public speak is an excellent skill, and it's really hard to develop it. But we've found that our Impact students not only develop their speech, but they also are amazing video editors. They're amazing media designers. They're really good at costumes. They're good at just portraying their passion in storytelling. And that's a skill that's not hard to pick up, or that's hard to pick up. And it's great to get people involved to build that themselves. Recognition for your team, so our sponsors really appreciate hearing about everything we do in our community. And it builds success of your team in general. So getting to see how far you come and continuing to build on what you do, that's really relevant within Impact, as every year you're trying to think of what more can we do. Alright, so how do teams demonstrate they are an Impact team?
So there's many different ways that a team can demonstrate that they're an impact team because every team is unique. So they're unique in how they demonstrate it. And so, for example, one of the ways is like different innovative new ways to communicate like excitement about STEM and excite kids and other people about FIRST and other stuff. So, for example, one of the things we've done is Instance of Inspiration. I think it's pretty innovative because it's very low cost. You just get a robot that's already made and bring it outside to just a random place and be like, hey guys, they might not like expect that there's a robot and they'll be caught off guard. They'll be like, whoa, what's that robot? We didn't come here to see a robot. And they're like, and it's super engaging for them. And we have like, what's the story? We have gotten people to learn about FIRST and even like help join FIRST because of Instance of Inspiration. Also promoting FIRST growth. So that's really, really important, promoting and supporting other teams. So what our team does a lot is, we help a lot with FLO. A lot of our students who came from FLO or just their feeder schools go back to their elementary schools to help with the teams that are there, or help maybe start a new one, or other stuff like that. If it's a new team, they can help them get started and get the ball rolling. We also advocated for a shared practice field in Hamilton, and so that was 2000.
A long time ago.
A really long time ago, but I think we moved many buildings and we were really pushing for this. So then all the teams on our school board and just in the area in general can have a space to work with, like a almost full field. We also host FLO qualifiers, which is good for our school board and other teams in the area, and also our FRC event, Devon Cup, happening in a month, and so Assembly Cup and Overtime Sunday. So what's unique about this event is that we help pre-rookie teams, so they don't have to pay for a registration fee, and we send some of our students to go help, and because it's their first event, they might not know, and so yes, you have to have they don't have a robot, so we give them our robot, and so they learn how to drive drive the robot, and all that other stuff, organizing, pit stuff, but also some of the nitty-gritty stuff that they might not think about, such as like scouting and strategy, and like what to do if they end up in a picking position.
Yeah, for sure. And if I could just add to that. So about going back to some of the FIRST core values and what it started on. So you might know this, but if you know the FIRST definitions all of these follow definitions like supporting, running, mentoring, assisting. So those are main definitions of impact, and we'll talk about them. But the judges look for that because when first on the website you go to the questions they could ask you an impact, what are the main pillars of what impact is about? They go back to those definitions. And so when we're learning to promote FIRST growth or making innovative ways to do it, it's going back to that same basis. So what's important to do within FIRST, it depends on your community, but we know mentoring and assisting. It's what the impact award looks for. And we know we do it in these areas, so we're going to continue to build on that. Same thing with the shared practice fields and securing sponsorship. Those are the two biggest things how you could assist a team even if you're not directly mentoring them. So it's really going back to those original definitions, which we still go back to year because sometimes they change. It's important to review those, and they should be available on the FIRST website if you want to start looking now. But yeah.
A couple more ways is just how the, team dynamic works in general. So a lot of our outreach is like student-led, it's student-initiated. They are interested. So students, we have an interview for veterans at the beginning of the school year of just what do they want to do, what did they learn last year, is there anything new, what do they want to pursue after high school, and we look at that and we decide to look for opportunities such as, for example, biomedical engineering. A couple students were interested in that. We made a prosthetic hand for some people across the world. And that was because of the students. They were interested in it. And because they were interested in it, they were so much more excited to actually do the outreach. And because they gain something from it, and they also help other people. So they develop their skills, they get to explore their interests and all that other stuff. And it's just a good way to build like team relationships and dynamics. Impacts within the school, community, and beyond. So within the school, so the school board, for example, we had the practice field, and we also advocate for FIRST every year. So I think for the past 2 years, we've been to school board meetings and presented our impact award to show them that FIRST isn't just like robots and all that, but also so much more, and that it's a really great program to fund. And so we help fund, and then within the community, since we're like right next to McMaster, we have very strong partnership with McMaster, and this has led to the FRC event at McMaster, and it has also led to some scholarships. So $15,000 scholarships goes to FIRST students for people in McMaster, and beyond. So such as like what Amy was saying about to the Philippines and work outside like globally. Last year we did Makers Making Change, so that was we helped some children with like mostly hand mobility issues, other stuff like that. We're also a role model to other teams, so that's also a very big thing, a very big part about impact. The Impact Award is that you're a role model. Other teams see what you do and they go, that's a great idea, I want to do that too, I want to also help. So for example, Build a Bunker, it's just basically we go around during events and help other teams. We always bring parts that's not even on our robot, just in case another team might need it. We usually have like a designated team of people at our events who just literally run around and help rookie teams or other teams who might need help, and we're always willing to help other students or teams. We also have the Boost Award, so the Boost Award is where we give a percentage of our annual income or annual funding to a rookie team because we think that they deserve it. And so last year it was 10 million 015. Yeah, bubbles. Yeah. The year before that it was 1996 21. You get the point, right? And it helps them just with that extra little boost because FIRST is very expensive, and so between the registration fees, all the different parts, it can just give them that little extra like money that they might need. And also mentoring rookie teams. So every year we try to mentor a rookie team. And so, for example, last year 10-0-15, we helped them as their rookie team. And it was usually weekly or it was like a very consistent effort to help them, and we always have our doors open for them. So we're not trying to ever like impose ourselves and be like, oh, I do this, do that, but rather we help them give it like, we push them in like a direction. We're like, but if you ever want to change your mind, if you ever need help from us, we're open. And we always check up on them and be like, do you need any more help? Is there anything different? Yeah.
So we mentor the rookie teams every year, but after the rookie season, we don't just go, hey, you're on your own now. If they need more support or if they need help from us, they're always able to come back to us and to like they send one of our mentors an email and they say, hey, we need this or we need that, and we're always willing to help out.
So outcomes. So I've already talked about a little bit about this. So the scholarships at McMaster, the numbers impacted. So that's also very important when you're for the Impacts Award because you need to have your documentation, and that includes numbers. So that could be social media, your events. You can talk to the event coordinators of like, for example, when we went to Santa Claus Parade, talk to the event coordinators how many people were there, and all that stuff, and graduates as well. So we also help our students, like graduating students, and they also have many. So graduate scholarships. Yeah, just like scholarships, and I think 100% of our graduates have gone to post-secondary, 95-ish, gone to into something related to STEM, and we always help them and support them through that as well.
So I think that really highlights the importance of having someone that's designated to keep track of these numbers because it's so easy to lose track of them. I can't tell you how many times outside of FIRST, like in my job or at school, that we've run an initiative for something and we've left and realized we did not talk to the organizer about who was there, what was the age group breakdown, how many numbers. Like those are important to have for your impact documentation, and the judges are expecting that you have that in your index that you're submitting to them in the documentation, because if they can't understand where your data is coming information room or in your documentation, they may be a little worried that maybe the number's not accurate. So having that properly documented, or even a screenshot of an email from an organizer saying, hey, yes, Team Dave was at this event, they did this, they impacted this many people, that goes a really long way, because it's that, like, they can't really challenge that information. It's right there, it's crystal clear. You want to make it clear so that the judges aren't like trying, they're like, oh, I said all this great stuff, but I can't fact check it. So make sure you're doing that. And everything you're doing, make it a part of your planning process and document that for both the judges, but again, we talked about tracking it for your team. You want to sustain your team such that 10 years from now, people know what you were doing. So 2035, people know what you were doing in 2025.
And also, like, every judge is different, so having stories and heartwarming stories and like all the emotional impact, that's very important, but also the quantity, the quantable numbers. And every judge is different. Some might want more numbers, some might want the stories. So it's very important to just have like everything ready.
So impact award submissions begin when you have a story. So before you submit for impact, or before you do anything like that, you need to have a story to tell. You need to have gone out and done things. You need to and so and then leverage your team's processes and unique attributes to create that story. So playing into your students' interests, especially, I know we talked about this earlier, but it's really, really important. Like before every season, ask your students, say, hey, what are you interested? What do you want to do? Because that makes the students way more interested in what you end up doing that year, and it makes it more of a success. And then, yes, align activities with team interests and needs. So not only the interest, but what the team needs. And creating partnerships. So that could be with sponsors, that could be with other teams, that could be with mentors, that could be, and it's just, it goes a long way to have partnerships and to have people that are there for you and that you can go to if you need anything, or that like sponsors for money or for in-kind donations, or mentors that can help out the team with like robot or impact stuff. Like we have a lot of mentors that help with our impact. And yeah, just anything like that.
Yeah, I want to highlight one thing we do every year that might be helpful for your team is once we have new students that are onboarded and we have our students from the previous year, we'll sit down and we'll talk about what we did well and what could have improved and where do we want to go. Because really it's hard for the impact mentors to sit down and be like, what are we going to talk about? Like your team just does so much throughout the year and you want to go to so many places. What should we base it on? It's hard to decide what your story stakeholders, if you will, are going to be. So getting to sit down with everyone, just brainstorm, go on the board. What did we like that we did last year? Do we feel like this was a success? How can we do this better? And if we did it well, how do we communicate well? What are some things we want to highlight about? We said like sidewalk science, or just the outreach we do spontaneously from the community. Was it good in this location? Where should we go next time? Is anyone related to, for example, McMaster? Should do more there. It allows you to make those connections, because you don't always know what your students want to do and who they're connected with. So, yeah.
And partnerships always result in more opportunities for outreach and to impact other people. For example, we have a very strong partnership with our school board, and so we've gotten the opportunity with the provincial tours through our school board, and beyond that, even after, and also workshops for the teachers, so then they know what FTC, FLL is all about, rather than just the students, because for a team to start, you need teacher support as well, and then other stuff like that, such as the master and the FRC events, and partnerships just create opportunities, so always search for partnerships.
And documentation. So keeping a clear and accurate documentation of everything that you've done. So, like we said earlier, when you go to an event, make sure you have the number of people that were there, because numbers are very big. A lot of judges, they look at the numbers, they want to see numbers, right? Not all judges, but a lot of judges do like that. So keeping emails between you and event coordinators and you and sponsors, news, numbers, stuff like that. And then keep it in like an impact standardized documentation index. So last year, they switched to online. So we used to have all of our documentation in big binders. We had a big bin. We bring it into every impact room. But they switched that now, so you need to have it online. So having that and then having it on a USB drive is a good idea, so they can access it. They can just plug it right into their computer and have access to it. Forming your impact or awards team. So finding people that not necessarily are strong in one thing, but have an interest. So, for example, I was interested in presenting. I really wanted to present for impact. So even if you're not the strongest presenter or you don't know a lot about impact, that can always be taught. But interest in the topic cannot be taught. And then knowing your deadlines for submission and planning your schedule. So knowing your deadlines, very, very important, because it's very easy to fall behind. We know that, especially. We are constantly falling behind on things, and it happens to everyone. For example, we had a deadline for when we were supposed to have our script memorized, and none of the 3 presenters had it memorized that day, but it was okay because we caught up, but it just made it all that more difficult. So knowing those deadlines and planning the schedule ahead of time, sticking to that deadline. And then determining your approach or main focus or theme. Having a theme is very important. A good thing to go with is to go with the theme for that year. That's what we like to do sometimes, like our sea animals. But if you have another good idea that doesn't involve that theme for that year, that's always a good thing too, because that could stand out, that could be unique, right? Which is always what you're looking for judges, because if you stand out in a crowd, it'll be, or like if you stand out throughout the amount of impact teams that there are, then that's a good thing for the judges to remember. The judges will remember you.
I want to emphasize that last point, the amount of times that we've presented to judges and they've come back to us after and been like, oh, we love your hats, or your board, so cool. Or you'll see judges walking down the hallway and they'll see what we're carrying and it really grabs their attention. Because sometimes you can have really good information, but the judges see so many people in a day that how are they supposed to remember your team specifically until they have to file through their notes. So if you could come up with something, what's unique to your team that you could bring into the room, whether it's based on theme or based on your core values as a team, that could make them remember you. They will be talking about, they'll be like, oh, hey, even if maybe they don't remember a piece of information, they're like, oh, their hats, so cool. Or their pants, I need to get some of those. And then they're like, oh yeah, makeshift, shifting the perception of science and technology. They're a rainbow team. They like to stick with the theme, and they gave us a very theatrical presentation. You don't have to do that, but leaving something that they remember, you walk out of the room, you got them really excited, there's something fun going on, that's going to lead you to success. Because it's so hard to remember all that information, numbers, etc. You want to allow them to enjoy who your team is. So let your students have fun with that as well.
And a really good way to do that is with your board. So not this year, but the year before, 2 years ago now. I wanted to say last year, but 2 years ago, we had on our board, we had a Lego wall. So it was like black, white, gray colors. So it was like our motto, shifting the perception of science and oh my gosh, and technology. So instead of science being drab and not colorful and boring, we want to shift that perception and make it big and colorful and fun. So at the end of our presentation, we had a big wrecking ball that would. It was a wrecking ball that would crash through the Lego wall and just say that we were breaking down those walls and telling everyone that it can be exciting, it can be fun, it can be colorful.
Yeah, and they definitely did like that. Was it a bit awkward when we broke the wall and we had to pick up the pieces on the ground later? Maybe. But I think it did definitely help for them to remember. And we presented at the FIRST Education Conference, and we did that as well, and they absolutely loved it. It was a very easy way for them to memorize. And this year we had 3D printed pieces on the board. We had moving parts. We always try to do something a bit fun for the board. And at provincials, one of the judges I think they were they worked in a museum and helped create displays, and they were like, this is similar to what I do. This is really, really cool. So every judge is different, right? Every judge has their own background, they have their own interests, and I guess we just got lucky with that one. But something memorable is very, very important, something unique.
And then your essay. So the essay needs to be 10,000 characters submitted through the youth team registration system. So with the essay, dividing or assigning the work is very important because you don't want to have one person writing the essay, although they could. It's good to have multiple people, multiple eyes looking at it, because the more people you have, the more good ideas you might have, or the more mistakes you might catch, or little things. And then setting up your outline and slot in all your achievements or activities into each paragraph. So having an outline, so knowing what you want your essay to look like. So instead of just throwing all your information, go, hey, in this little bit we're going to talk about this, in this section we're going to talk about that. And knowing that outline before you go will make it all that easier before you start. And then use all your resources. So like that could be people, like if you're new to the team and you're like writing the essay, you could go back and talk to like veterans on the team or mentors who have been on the team for a long time. Or look at your documentation that you keep. So we have our big documentation, we have all the things, so going back through that and seeing what you did and looking at numbers and all that. And then make sure to convert the essay to Notepad because that's how the judges will see your essay. I think it was
A long time ago. We just discovered that the formatting can sometimes get messed up in the FIRST system, so what we decided to do was just paste it into Notepad, see what it was like in a very standard text format, and then we paste that in. Sometimes Word can be a bit iffy with its spacing, and then all of a sudden you have just a text that's everywhere, and nobody wants to see that. So it's good to do that beforehand. One thing I will say is just the importance again of like talking to a lot of people to help you do it. Michelle, are you doing this anything or is that pretty good? Yeah. So having teachers help out, that's another thing. We have a librarian mentor as well, and she's really great at catching like, this is awkward, rewrite this, they'll understand it better. So that's nice.
And when you're writing like the executive summaries and essays, there's word counts, and there's so much that your team does, right? You might not be able to fit it all, but it's okay. You don't have to, but you do have to make it into the word count, but you don't have to initially. You can write out whatever you want for the question or the essay, and then later figure out what parts you need, what can you shorten down. So just get it on there first. Starting is always the hardest step of everything, right?
All right, so I'll go through some definitions. So I will ask if you want to take a look at this and make sure you look them up in the FIRST system after. Feel free. We're going to go through the standard definitions. So for team support, we have started, mentored, assisted, and provided published resources. Most of these I like are probably pretty trivial, but started versus mentor. So started is more about giving access, so whether that be funds or a build space. So we talked about practice skills, that counts as a build space. We talked about funds, that counts as getting board sponsorship. When you do that, suddenly you're assisting all the people that are affected by that one building or by that one piece of funding. So sometimes thinking of how you can broadly impact a larger group can allow you to secure that started. Mentor is being able to directly mentor, so providing knowledge, sharing your space, just showing the team like pre-rookies at STEM Lead, letting them use your robot and giving them a chance to test drive what FIRST is so that they're more successful. And providing published resources. So we could do this with impact, like if they want to learn how to do some outreach, or if there's like events that we've shared online before, how-tos, how to create a pneumatic system, things like that we could share as providing published resources. And then assisted is very similar again to, it doesn't have to be someone you started, but it's someone you're providing direct resources to. Event support, so makeshift run STEM Link, which we love very much. So we're able to say that we ran it because we're providing a large chunk of the volunteers. And we're also able to say that we hosted it because it's in our school. So if you're ever running an event, those are the two terms you should use so that the judges can understand where it was and who did it. And those are two big terms we're looking for. And supported as well. So I also want to emphasize the great thing about working with other teams if you're new to outreach. It shows that you're willing to work with other people to make a big impact. And it's okay if you were just supporting on an event, you're still helping to make an impact. You can include those numbers, and that counts as supporting an event or anything we've run. Okay, and then the executive summary. So I will say these questions change every year. One thing we did this year that I found particularly helpful, again, these will be on the FIRST website as you're heading into build season, is doing a direct side-by-side comparison of which questions we went through last year and answered, and what are the changes. So FIRST was a little cheeky last year, and they changed very small terms within questions. So if you went by them really fast, you would probably not notice that the questions had changed. But when we did a direct side-by-side, and if you want, you could do this, AI can take care of this for you, ChatGPT, if you didn't want to do it yourself. But it highlighted very key terms that, oh, because you put empowered in there, that changes that question. We can't reuse the question from last year. If we do, we're not hitting the target. So make sure you're reviewing those questions. They do change because FIRST, as an organization, their priorities change year to year. And because their priorities change, they're going to change the questions that they want you to address. You are a direct example as an impact team of the impact that the FIRST organization is making. And as such, you need to follow their new values and their new goals. That's why they changed the questions. So thank you. Please review them, because even something like FIRST vision versus, like, let's say they use the word environment, that's very different. So take a look at these, see what's changed year to year. If you are a team that's submitted for impact report, please review your answers and change them. And these are just some of the other ones that have been the same year to year. One is like highlighting areas your team needs to improve, because I find that was really important if it's on the question docket for the year, because it really shows your team's awareness that you want to continue to make an impact. It's not just, here we go, share the award, but it's like why you care about it and how do you want to improve. And then one question that I'm actually not sure, let me check if it's on here. It's not. That they ask you now is to provide a piece of feedback that the judges can give you. So they'll ask you to write something. Can you give us feedback on this area of our team? I think we'll talk more about it later, but just in the short form of it, think of a very specific question you want to ask the impact judges. Chances are, if it's general, they won't be able to answer it. They'll probably just say, well, we don't know your team very well, so here's some general FIRST guidelines of how you can do better. But if you ask a very specific question, like one year we asked, we really love to do international outreach, but we also love helping out the city of Hamilton. Is there a specific type of outreach that the judges are looking for, and should we focus on one of those? Hamilton, or for example, when we were doing outreach in the Dominican Republic, which one would you rather us develop? And that gave them a very targeted thing. Please tell us which ones you think, as a judge, that you want to hear about next year, and if you really work on that question, that's probably going to be what helps your team the most. So that one, spend some time on all of them, but really get your team's general assessment as to what you want that question to be, because it can help you out quite a lot.
And the executive summary is usually, it's the first thing that the judges look at, so it's their first impression of you despite not having seen you. So it's very, very important, because that's usually when they pick, oh, this one, I think this one should win, this one should win, and then your presentation is just really what solidifies what they want to do. And especially because the executive summary, they can go back to it, they can look back, but for the presentation, they can't. It's just, they have to remember it. And especially at Worlds with many, many judges, they have to just kind of fight for you. It's not like they can reference something, it's just what I remember, what my experience with this team was. For submissions, so the submission is 12 minutes, 7-minute presentations, 5 minutes with questions. So yeah, again, that's when you go to the judges, there's usually 2 or 3, 3 during provincials, 2, maybe 3 during the district events. And so things that you would need for your presentation, your presenter. So you don't have to have 3. We usually have 3, but you're allowed up to 3 presenters. We usually have a script for our presentation, so we know exactly what we're talking about. And also it helps us keep us on time, because we have a lot to say and not a lot of time. And so we always try to do it. The script helps us make it like within that set time. And also judges, like, it depends. Sometimes apparently the judges, they set the timer immediately the second you open that door, so you have to get in your board quickly. And we've had very bad judges rooms with very big boards. And also, for example, if the time went off, they might cut you off immediately. They just might say, okay, just finish up, wrap up, like whatever you're doing. It depends judge to judge, again. Practicing with an audience. So it's it's only 3 people, but it is important to get comfortable with what you're talking about and talking to other people about what you know. So practicing with a couple other like people, your friends, adults, mentors, it can help you kind of get that nerves out, and they can provide feedback as well, like how to answer questions, and also presenting, like, oh, you forgot this word, or you forgot whatever. Preparing for judges' questions. So again, that was with the audience, and also asking like general questions or like really specific questions that you might not know. So for example, a general question that they usually always ask is like, what makes your team an impact team? Why do you deserve this award? Pretty hard question because there's so many ways you can answer, right? And you have to pick out your best ones, or anything else you want to add, or some really weirdly specific questions. Judges always come up with a little bit weird questions sometimes, which is it's fine. That's what you're prepared for. So like specific outreach, or like, oh, how did you organize this? How many sponsors do you have? Other stuff like that. A brief handout is also good. So alongside with your documentation that you will be providing them, a little piece of paper that maybe summarizes something. So if you have like a chart that you want to show them, it can be on that little piece of paper with a little bit extra information and stuff like that, or other numbers that might not be included in your presentation.
Yeah.
So with the script especially, I know you don't necessarily have to have it memorized, but we really do suggest having it memorized. It makes the presentation like so much more memorable, and you're able to connect with the judges more. And if you're holding a script, you're not connecting with them as much. And if you have it memorized, you can talk and you can do things with the board, and you can use hand signals, hand gestures, and it's more memorable and more professional, and the judges will remember that. And then the other thing that I had has left my brain, but I'll let you go first.
Sure.
While I remember.
That's okay. Yeah, I do want to emphasize practicing questions. I honestly think by the time they get the script down, like for all students in here, you're all in school, you know how to memorize scripts. I know you do. But sometimes it's that question component that like people freeze up and they get nervous, and you want to be able to provide that information. Sometimes what's helped with us in the past is people will be specialists in areas, and that way, even if it's something as like big as why is your team a role model team, then Crystal knows to talk about STEMly Cup because that's an event we run. Kieren knows to talk about our FLL and FRC mentorship because that's what he knows to a T, and he could just pull it out even if it's a general question, go, and then you can think about the question as you're starting to add to it. So sometimes being the specialist is really important. And then for the handout, there have been times that we'll section off based on main categories that we want to get across. So for example, international outreach is the category we have in our handout. We have the statistics for international outreach. So when we were in the Dominican Republic, and we were in a classroom demonstrating FIRST Lego robots, this is how many people were in that classroom, this is how long we were there, this is how many years we've done it, and that way it's no question. Like we know what these main events are and what they did. So the handout's actually a lot more important, and not all teams remember to bring one in, but being able to give them the main points that they could also review after in case you didn't get something out in either the questions, the presentation. It can also take just the pressure off your students. That's like, oh, I didn't get to say this one outreach activity, but I know the minute they look at the handout, it's right there. So, because you guys deal with enough pressure, you don't need to put everything out there all at once. Yeah.
So with the judges' questions as well, making sure you know your stuff, because you can practice questions, you can have example questions, you can do that like as much as possible, and you still might not be prepared. They still might ask a question that you've never heard before, and you need to come up with an answer on the spot. So it's like not just having like, oh, I know if they ask this question, I need to say this, but knowing your stuff and knowing what your team has done, so you can come up with questions on the spot.
And usually when you memorize your presentation, and then you get better at the questions. When you get better at the questions, you get better at memorizing because they're like directly linked, right? It's just basically you learn more about your team and you get better at it. Usually keeping your questions short and concise also better. They don't want a long rant about whatever.
I think we only leave time for questions, so we'll speed through the last little bit.
Video, 1 to 3 minutes. Electronic So you want your theme, you want maybe like storyboard, and all that stuff. The hardest part is finding like the different clips and medias of what you need, and always bring a hard copy just in case. The judges don't look at the video until after, so this does not impact your judging at all. The judges.
The video is technically optional, but it is nice to go to an event that if you win, then other people could see what it is that you've done. That's another way just to even like help teams that when they see the video of the event, like for example, the instance of inspiration, some newer team is trying to do impact, can see that and they're like, oh, that's really cool. That's actually something that now that I know they do that from their video, that we could do as well, because we now know about that piece of outreach. So you don't have to do video, but it's a great experience for the students that want to learn how to do video editing, and it's just a nice even promotional piece that you can use for your team in the future.
So tips at a competition. Always have a plan. So I know you don't know your time or your room until you get there, but when you get to the competition, like immediately go to the judges table. Judges table? Or Pitterman, that's the one. It's been a while. And knowing where you need to go, finding the room, and knowing what time and have time as well to practice. So practicing at an event, practicing at the competition before you go into the room. And be prepared. So like you said, going over all that stuff beforehand. Your tone and speed. Make sure you're not speeding through the presentation, but you also don't want to be talking too slowly. You got to find that middle pace that works for you, and where you can get all your information out while also still sounding professional, and the judges being able to tell what you're talking about, and just telling your story and having fun.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
About the judging room, find the room ahead of time.
Yeah.
It sounds obvious, but it's important.
Yes.
You actually, Angela,
Yeah.
I remember a memorable event where they changed the room at the last minute. We
Yeah.
thought we had scouted out,
Yeah.
and our impact team pushing our cart, running through the venue. Actually, Karthik was running with us, helping us find the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to try to avoid that. Also, take a look, if you can, take a look inside the room, just so you have an idea about layout. Like, you can get a mental picture of where the different presenters are going to be standing, because oftentimes they're weird rooms, right? They're like a locker room or something like that. This is especially important if you need power, like you need to plug something in, or if, like us, you have a massive cart with a huge wooden board on it that we presented with and needs to fit through the door. So it's good to plan those things out in advance.
We have gotten stuck before.
Yes.
Stay within the door size. All good teams come from some struggles that we've experienced in the past. But yeah, that's a good point. Being in front of the room.
For pit judging, it's good to know what award you want and specifically focus on that.
Gotta talk to judges.
So, okay, I guess I already mentioned. So again, focus on what you know. So there might be students who know more about business or more about the robot. Like, I don't know anything about the robot, but I know more about outreach. So outreach judges come, or like just even like in the room. So I'm talking about pit judging right now. But yeah, take it slow. Don't worry. So it's okay to think about what you want to say before you say anything. So usually you want to fill up the silence, but it's okay to not fill up the silence. It's okay to compose yourself and be like, what am I going to say next? Again, plan your words in advance. Don't say anything stupid. Yeah. User resources. So in the judging room, the handout we've talked about, a lot of times it has numbers, and we don't remember all the numbers. So it's very nice to just be like, and the number is in the documents. It's in the handout you have in front of you.
We have a lot of posters in our pit that we just hang by, like, on our pit, and then when the judges come around, we can take them off, and someone can hold them while someone else talks to the judges, and they can point things out on it and give the judge a visual, and also give you ideas to talk about.
Mr. Ciprietti designs those every year, and he sends those signs out to quickly get made before the competition, then they get hung in our pit. So if you want to know about pit signs and how those can help your students, after the presentation, go talk to him.
Connecting with your judges. So, like storytelling, maybe get to know them just a little bit. They usually introduce themselves and their background. so you can kind of cater towards that. And don't make assumptions about judges' background knowledge. Sometimes the judges, like this is their first competition. They don't know what what FIRST is about and all that stuff. And they'll tell you about their background knowledge usually. And again, if in the pits or even like if the judging room is in a bad spot where it's very loud, then you can ask for clarification. You don't know what they're saying, it's okay to ask to repeat themselves because it's important you answer what they want. You answer the question correctly.
Depending on the field they're in, they may use very specific vocabulary that you're not used to, and we've had that in the past with the students. They're like, what did they just ask me? Did that word mean statistic or did it mean something else? So just ask. Like, they're perfectly fine. They'll know that, oh, maybe I used a word that doesn't make sense in the impact room. Just ask them if they're happy to clarify. Don't be scared of the judges. They're so nice.
And a lot of times, like sometimes your impact presenters won't be in the pits. So make sure you're preparing your other students as well. So one thing that we do is we'll be like, hey guys, so we might come up to you randomly throughout the meeting today and just be like, we'll just ask you a question, right? And then we'll go up to someone and we'll be like, hey, why does our team deserve to win that impact? Tell us more about this, tell us more about that. And putting them on the spot like that, it may be awkward in the moment, but it will help.
And judges are nice people. They want to listen to what you have to say. It's okay to tell them about it. They're not like forcibly there. They're volunteering.
Alright. Maybe we'll just note this really quick so we can move on, but keep in mind again we talked about judge feedback and how you should fill that out when you're applying for the Impact Award. Just make sure you check it. You have to go back into the FIRST system before you submit the award and check it. So after the event, please look, because chances are, if let's say you didn't win at the first event, but you have a second event, you have feedback. Maybe you can make some changes. So make sure you quickly go look at that. And yeah, so the person that submits the award, the student that's designated to do that, should know where that is. Ask them to log in, look at your feedback right away. Usually it's there a day after the event.
So one team from each district event, however many there are, advances to the provincials, and then FIRST determines, they get to tell you how many people decide to move on to worlds from provincial, so 2 to 3 usually. And then world championship, there's what, 6 finalists, and then one of those are the world championship of Impact. After the season, so we have like a end of season celebration. We usually present it there. We invite our sponsors and parents. It's just nice for them to see what we've done, and because most times they've never actually seen this presentation before. They don't know what this looks like, and so they get to see all your hard work and not just the judges, which is very nice. It also like teaches them about what we do, especially the sponsors. They want to know what we're doing. We usually record the presentation because FIRST has like a page where you can put in your video, your presentation, and your essays. And so we record the video, we post it on YouTube for more to people to see and for FIRST. And look back on the judges' feedback and like see what you can improve and how you can take this feedback and like actually do stuff with it. And start planning for next year. Start planning your theme. Start planning what new stuff you've done, what stuff you are going to do, and so on and so forth.
So where do you go from here? So I guess collectively, I see all lovely teams in this room. Some of you have gone for Impact before, some of you have not. Just decide as a team, have a meeting, talk about if you're going to go for the award and why students are passionate about it. If you all have a shared reason, then you will all be able to participate. Kieren talked about very well about setting a schedule and assigning roles. Our roles have been very flexible on Makeshift. We have a lot of, again, great mentors and students that want to get involved. So if you start on like props or writing, often those people are really good at asking questions later or helping to write the actual script. So it's up to you how that works on your team. Keep up with the progress, and we're happy to help. So reach out to us at any time. We will not gatekeep anything about Impact. Please ask us anything and everything. We want to see other teams succeed. We'd love to see other teams coming forward for Impact. We think it'd be great to see them. So please ask us and just have lots of fun.
So this is our potential Impact submission timeline. We don't exactly follow this. This is the ideal schedule. This is what we aspire to to follow. So yeah, if you want to take a picture of this, anyone?
Yeah, the dates will come out soon. They might be on the FIRST website, but just make sure you have those specifically
Yeah.
in your timeline.
So it might not look exactly like that,
Yeah.
but
And that's mostly the end. One team we did bring up, the Coconuts one a few years ago, Impact. They're a very great team to look to. So, thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
So when you're presenting on things that you've done, how far back do you go? Like, do you guys have like a limit you hold yourselves to? But then also when you have things that like build upon themselves every year, how do you decide what is worth going back 10 plus years? What's like in the last 3 years? So usually judges, they'll actually specify first, right? The first, like the past 3-4 years. I think it's usually 4. And so that's what you want to focus on the most. But if there's something continuously that you've done for like 7 years, then you still want to talk about that because that's still within 3 years. So we've done assembly for so long, but it's something we continuously do every year. And continuously doing something is very, very important. They really like when you don't just do something one time and never again.
or like you said, if there's something that you started and then you built on it, making sure like maybe focus on the last 3-4 years of that, but telling them how it started and like how it came to be.
Also, sometimes what we've done in the past is like we'll focus our presentation on all the recent initiatives, and then that way in the questions, the students can be like, oh, we brought up all of those 3 years things, but we did something really cool 5 years ago, so we're going to bring that up in the questions. It gives you that one last chance to just bring something forward that you're really proud of and maybe your team hasn't done recently. So if you focus your presentation mainly on the last 3 years, then you could really hit that in the questions. They will ask you at the end, is there anything else you want to add? So if there's something that you're like, there's no way this thing we did 8 years ago is going to come up in questions, then say it then. It's strategy and impact. Yeah.
I was saying, you basically just covered it. But yeah, if like we have multiple revisions of our presentation every year because we struggle to get it into 7 minutes. Right? So we have to cut things out. And if there's something that we know that we really want to include, the question time is a good way to sort of shoehorn it in there. Answer the question that they ask, absolutely. But you can sometimes find a way to add on a little extra tidbit of information about something that didn't fit into your presentation. Or it might jog your memory about something else that you can talk about. So you can expand from that one.
We encourage our students to link their answers together. So if like Crystal just answered a question about what events do you run, and she's like, oh, we run the Stanley Cup, then Kieren can be like, oh, but we also train for rookies, and then Angela can be like, oh, but there's also these lovely FLL teams that we mentor. Like you suddenly just took it from one side to the complete other side. So we tend to encourage linking questions together and just like allowing them to use all their brains within a question to take it somewhere that the judges wouldn't have even expected, and then they're like, wow, I didn't even know that was going to come out of that question. That's kind of wild that they know that much. It's impressive. So, I know we didn't talk about like what is done in the room or like what has happened in our history of impact. So if people have questions about that specifically, it's welcome. Or about anything we said. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you have relationship with your school board and your university as well. And for my team, we're 1316 Oakville.
Yeah.
We have a lot of students that are specifically from a certain school board, but we don't really have a formal relationship with the organization itself. So I think that could present an opportunity for us to have a lot of event impact. And I was wondering, how do you guys go about building said relationship? Is it like a give or take thing? Do you give anything to the school board? Do you support them in any way?
So a lot of our students came from an FLL team, and I think the first FLL team our school board, and then they went to high school. They're like, we want an FRC team. So that's how. So we're the first FRC team in our school board, and since then, I think what really built the relationship is that we really, really advocated for FIRST. We advocated that they fund, and we helped gain sponsor. Arcelor de Vasco sponsored. They offered to sponsor us, and we were like, no, sponsor the school board, so that they can give money to every other team. And so just, I guess, helping out in, like, just really advocating for FIRST really builds your relationship with your school board.
And then we also go like to different school board events. So every year we go to, there's like basically a meeting where they discuss whether or not robotics should be continued. It's obviously yes every year, but we still go there and we present our impact. We do our impact presentation there. That's what we did this year and the year before, and that's just a great way for the school board to see what we're about and to know what we do.
And we built our relationship with McMaster, our university, because it's so close, and we hosted the Stanley Cup, and they came over. I think like the engineering came over and saw it and went, "That's really cool," and reached out for more information on how to support FIRST. So really, just showing what FIRST is all about and advocating for FIRST is how you build those connections. Because they'll probably see it and be like, "Wow, this is so cool! I want to do it too." And then later on, helping them supporting FIRST and how like resources to how to support or start a event and all and so on.
We also invite our superintendents to the end of season celebration.
Yes, I can add one thing there too. Just visibility is important, as they said. Being out there, being seen by people at the board level, your trustees, your superintendents, that sort of thing. Also, if you can find one advocate, one champion at the senior admin level. We had a superintendent who believed in FIRST massively, and he basically was our go-to person at the board level for support and events, funding, basically just sort of smooth things out if we needed more space or if we needed the ICT department to unblock something on the network. He was kind of our contact. If you can find that one person who believes in it and supports you, then that gives you a lot of opportunities to make inroads there.
So to summarize, bring people to FIRST events because they're going to think it's crazy and they're going to like it. Two, have really supportive people. So one thing that Sip didn't say, it's true, is that he is the reason we're so linked to the school board and everything else because he's our teacher mentor and you need a teacher unless you're a community team. If you're a community team, just have someone that's closely related to the community, maybe they work in the community, and that is passionate because they can advocate for your team. So those are, I think, the biggest things there. Oh, and remove barriers. Like you'll notice when you go off to work or when you're in university and you're trying to advocate for something, if you could remove a barrier for that organization to help you, they'll just be so good. So like securing funding. So when we got that sponsor, we were like, "Oh, we'll just fund school board," and then the school board doesn't have to worry about the funding. So now they're like really excited to support us, or we'll mentor and we'll give you the people needed to start spreading those teams. Then that as well is just like you're making it easier for us. We don't see a reason why we can't partner with you. Give them a reason.
Thank you.
Also, currently, just in terms of like provincially, Ministry of Education has renewed push on STEM education in some areas, including robotics, like at the elementary level. FIRST Canada is doing a lot of work to try to make inroads there as well, but they need to do it in partnership with teams. So they're trying to expand the FLL programs to satisfy some of these STEM curriculum requirements, and a great way to facilitate that is for an FRC team to help their feeder schools get that off the ground. Right. So we did that before any of these new initiatives were coming out. We started doing that years ago, and at one point we had about half of the 50 elementary schools in our board are running FLL teams. We're a little under that now. I think we're 18, something like that. I don't know. It's a new season, so I'd have to check. But helping the elementary teams stay sustainable and giving them ongoing support is really important to allowing them to continue to exist. Basically.
Yeah, it's a good point about the events as well. Like we love running a lot of events. Our students love doing it, but also you may have noticed for your applications this year, FIRST Canada gave a really good maintaining some merchandise these fun events. Like they shouted out every team that ran junior FLL, FLL, FEC, FRC, and they'll continue to showcase those teams if you're willing to partner with FIRST Canada. They want to talk to you, reach out to like William, Karthik, any of them, and if you're like, "Hey, we're trying to make a bigger impact. Can we start doing these things?" They'll connect you to that. They want to hear from you. So reach out to them.
Just a question about that. Does FIRST pay for facilities? So if you have to rent a facility, if you're
Keep going. Sorry.
So the team that is saying, "Yeah, we want to help, or we want to run that in our building," and then I have to pay for facility rental, which is like $600 or $700 a day.
Registration fees for the teams typically cover that. So
Okay.
at place for sponsorship is great, right? If you can find someone to help sponsor a specific event rather than just your team in general, then